Chinese leasing, obviously, in the last, 5, 6, 7 years has become a very large source of finance for Greek shipping. The discussion now will be, is it still happening today, and what are future prospects? We're very pleased to have Mr. Channing Wang, Regional Manager of Bocomm Shipping Leasing Europe, who's come down from Hamburg, and he's being interviewed by Mrs. Astero, Kampisiou, who's a partner of NorthCape. Astero, please.
Hi, thank you, Kevin. Channing, it is very nice to see you in Athens and all of the audience having the chance to have a physical event finally after 2 years. Of course, Bocomm is not a foreigner to the Greek shipowners. They've done a lot of interesting deals, and as time goes by, more and more interesting features. So the word to you, Channing, to give us a bit more on Bocomm's plans for next year.
Of course. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for more money. After so long time lockdown, finally we have a physical event here, and we could gather here to see the friends in face. How to say? It's it's a funny feeling. When you see the old friends after a long time no see, it looks like to see a new friend, not because of the long time no see, but also people wear mask. It's like a fresh face. Thank you, as you introduced, the Chinese leasing company is not a fresh face compared to several years ago, 5 years ago or 7 years ago. In the past several years, not only our company, Bocomm, but also some other Chinese leasing company, we made some good deals in Europe market, in Greek market. So I think the topic Kevin just supposed to ask is very interesting. Are we still the mainstay of the Greek market? Yes, after the pandemic, the Chinese financing, leasing financing people, absence physically because of the traveling limitation. But definitely, our business is still here. Even after the pandemic, we still fixed some good deals. Our Bocomm did that, and I also learned that some other Chinese leasing company also fixed the deals with Greek owners last year. So I hope we could move forward our cooperation with the Greek shipowner society. So I know that some traditional bank they come back with maybe some cheap monies, but we are still here.
You're here, and what is your budget for next year, and what is the preferred asset? Is containers and bulker something that you are not going to touch? Are you really counter-cyclical? A lot of financiers talk they are counter-cyclical, but not when the time arrives. This is an interesting question. Be honest, we don't have any specific budget for next year. So far, we don't have such a budget. But in the past several years, the total asset portfolio of the Chinese leasing companies grows very quick, a steady growth with a significant speed, such as the number I learned, by the end of last year, the totally shipping lease portfolio of the major Chinese leasing companies is around 65 or 66 billion US dollars. Considering we have a sizable portfolio now, so I think we will move forward to keep growth, but maybe will slow down a little bit in the next years. For the assets, we are open for all of the major assets. Even yes, the price of the assets at the current market claimed a lot. I think this is beyond most of the person's expectation when the pandemic break up. We are even the market hot. We fixed some deals and negotiate with some deals with our client to find a common ground about the past price and the new normal price, especially such like the containers, the bulkers. Okay, tanker, the people is still waiting. Maybe we are expecting the good market, but for the containers, we can see that the price is double, maybe triple above the price before pandemic. So we recognize that the current market is very high, but be honest, in some ways this is good for the leasing company, because for our current, the existing deals, it means our exposure is very safe now. But for the new deals, we need to find a common ground, how to satisfy the demand of our clients' expectation. Such like if one client come to us, they buy at the current market containers with high price. Okay, if the vessel, I think if they want to buy such kind of assets, definitely maybe they secured a good employment for the following years to cover their investment. So in this kind of situations, it's okay for us.
So you will structure it in such a way to reduce your risk.
Yes,
and like Ms. Frankwood just said, the companies that are in the market deleveraging because they do expect the market to come down at some point. So, other than we heard in the news the Greek Prime Minister talking about ferries and money being spent to improve the terminals and the trips of the vessels serving the Aegean, and to renew the fleet, which is, as we all know, very, very old. We understand this is an asset, a peculiar asset, not very liquid, but you also have some of those assets at your portfolio. Would you consider some more from the Greek market?
Exactly. We have several ro-packs and ferries in our existing portfolio, but to be honest, this is not the favorite appetite for us, because as a leasing company, normally we will give a high leverage. Maybe some deals is non-recourse deals. So the liquidity of the assets is essential for us. So if the ferries, if the ro-packs is designed and built for some special lines, such like we know that some island or some terminal in Greek market, in Greek island, especially some small one. So you need the special designs. So I think be honest, it's difficult for us to consider in such kind of assets as a leasing company. Yeah.
You gave me the point just now of non-recourse. So we understand that there is a depth in the Greek shipping market. There are ship owners which are either big with no consolidation or smaller with no consolidation, no holding company. For a well-structured project, would you consider financing such a structure, such a corporate structure? Sorry, I meant the lack of corporate structure.
Okay. Yes. When we began our business here in Greece, we start with some big names. Because it's easier to learn the background, the information about the big names. So after several years worked with the Greek market, we also want to expand our business with such like your side, the small size or medium sized client, but more low profile and don't like make news on the market. So. Yes, for this kind of client, we actually now we have some negotiation with such kind of client, but be honest, no big progress so far. Because I think even the leasing company, the structure is it looks like a new arrangement, a new solution for them. For such kind of client, we. Maybe they don't have the holding or consolidated balance, but if such kind of shipping company have a long history and a very stable performance, they are also the good choice for us. This is one of our major direction for the next year's business development. Yeah.
So there is the concept, not the concept, there is the perception in the Greek market that for an owner, for a project to go to China, it has to be at least $70 million of loan, or a little bit less. Is that may not be achievable by an owner with just type and size that we just described. So is there a minimum deal that makes you shy away from?
Actually, for us, I mean, for our Bocomm, we have tickets. How to say? We consideration about maybe we prefer some medium or big tickets, but more and more Chinese leasing company involved in the market. So I think for some other Chinese leasing company, even for some small tickets, it's also the popular deals for them. This is not exactly in one standard.
And then the major question, timing.
Okay.
We understand that someone going out in the market to buy a second-hand vessel is not advisable to go for Chinese leasing because it takes minimum 4 to 6 months to close a transaction, especially when it is a private company, and the due diligence may need to be more extensive and will take more time. Is this a process in place or an intention to find ways to reduce that time needed for credit approval?
Actually, the 4 or 6 months, I think, is not true. We don't need so long time, especially for the top leasing company in China. After several years communication and also learning from the European market. So I think we are more efficient. Just like for Bocomm, if we repeat a deal with our existing client, maybe 1 month or at least maybe 3 weeks is enough. But for some new client, we could try to do it such like after we sign the main terms, we agreed for the main terms, maybe 4 weeks or 3 weeks is enough for us. I know that maybe this is still a little bit long for the current market because it changes dramatically. But for some new buildings, I think this is good timing. Yeah.
Yes, it is true for repeating clients. We have also at NorthCape concluded transactions within a month because the due diligence has already been concluded once, and especially if we're talking about similar type of asset or ideally the same, then it is just changing the names pretty much on the paperwork. But we see also a change in other sectors, in other sides of the leasing, which is joint ventures. We have experienced as well transactions, we concluded, advised on transactions where lessors joined forces for some really big tickets. But like in the banks used to be, there were banks that prefer to work with some banks and some others that they don't like club deals at all. So is it the same for Bocomm, or where is Bocomm standing?
This is an interesting question. Actually, I don't know why, but looks like the Chinese leasing company don't like set the joint venture together with other leasing companies. Yes, in some ways this is we have some limitation, the regulation, reasons from the CBRC, but how to say, for the top leasing companies like Bocomm, normally the ticket size is not a big problem, and we have some experience to work together. It's like a significant, a syndicated loan finance with other leasing, such like the cruise, the high value vessels, but not through the way of joint venture. We have own joint venture for each leasing company, but we register the vessel, pro rata, the ownership by the share of the syndication finance.
Okay,
so this is
is
another alternative way. Yeah.
That was my next question. How do you register the title?
Actually, of course, for different registration countries, because some countries don't allow that. And another reason is it's difficult for us to set up the joint venture is because because most of the Chinese leasing companies state-owned. If you set up the joint venture with others, then the procedure is a little bit too complicated, take more time. This is a problem of timing.
But you do have big capacity. 10 vessels at a time?
Yes.
2 minutes. Okay. All right, then I think that will be my last question. It is very fashionable, if I'm allowed, the ESG, environmental principles, Poseidon, etc., that was signed recently. Have China and the whole Asia, not only China, are not so fast to adopt. Do you see that trend to Asia, and does this create issues for your funding for back leverage when that comes from the Western banks?
Yes, you are correct. This is also at least my personal feeling. For some, ESG project, some environmental, the green assets, it looks like the Eastern banks, financiers, not moved so fast as the Western, our peers in Western. So, but I think there is the good thing is the situation is changing. Such like for our Bocomm, we issued the first sustainability bond in the second quarter of this year. So actually, I think this is the first Chinese leasing company issue such kind of bond. We collect 500 million US dollars. So we do think in the following years, maybe quite soon, after we get the the good recognition of the green assets, the ESG project from our senior financiers, then they could provide the fundamental improvement of the cost for our leasing companies.
And small question or extension of the same question. Do the ESG projects achieve better terms, better pricing, better leverage?
I think, for the price, definitely there would be some improvement. For the leverage, or maybe we can see profile. For the we know that for the green assets, it have a bright future. Considering the environmental regulations, a lot of regulations coming. So maybe for the the profile, we could considering longer. Yeah, for such kind of structure. Yeah.
So even though no one wants to decide on the new technology, there is the incentive coming from all the financiers to make the step.
Yes, thank you.
And with that, we conclude. Thank you so much, Channing,
for
this very nice interview.
Thank you.